welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Kaylin and I am back with another video. Welcome, happy Friday. Today's video is going to be short and sweet. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. God is always intentional in what he does, but I have been in my own waiting season, and today I did not really know what the video was going to be about, but God gave it to me per usual, and we're going to be reading, y'all, I don't know how to say this book of the Bible. Habakkuk. I don't know. Habakkuk. I tried to look it up and I still don't know how to say it, but I'll put it right here on the screen. And we're going to be reading chapter 2, verse 2 through 3. It reads, "The Lord answered me, write down this vision, clearly inscribe it on tablets so one may easily read it. For the vision is yet for the appointed time. It testifies about the end and will not lie. Though it delays, wait for it, since it will certainly come and not be late." And so you guys know I love the Bible recap, so we're going to read about this whole book. And I actually think I'm going to do a study on this book of the Bible for the rest of the month. In this one it says, Habakkuk, I don't know how you say it, is a prophet to southern Judah prior to the Babylonian exile, around the same time as Zephaniah and Jeremiah. Prophets are mediators between God and his people. We usually think of them as talking to the people on behalf of God, but Habakkuk mostly works from the other end of the spectrum. He talks to God on behalf of the people. He's focused on justice, and he brings his complaints about injustice to God. God is concerned about justice too, so they're on the same page. But just because they care about the same thing doesn't mean they have the same ideas about how that should be accomplished. Habakkuk mistakenly thinks God isn't listening to his prayers since God isn't doing what he asks. He says, "God, are you seeing what I'm seeing? If so, why aren't you doing anything about it?" He forgets that God's no is also an answer. God can hear him. God is listening. God just denies his requests because his process involves using a wicked nation to accomplish a righteous plan. In this conversation, we encounter a verse that's often taken out of context. "Look among the nations and see, wonder and be astounded, for I am doing a work in your days that you would not believe if told." Some misread this verse as though it's painting a beautiful picture. You wouldn't believe the wonderful works God is doing. But in context, we see that the thing God is doing, they won't believe, is raising up of the Babylonians to destroy them. And God is right. They don't believe him. Habakkuk responds to God by saying, "I know you're sovereign over this, and you've chosen to use the Babylonians to bring correction to your people, but they're wicked. They're way worse than Judah. This isn't fair." He's in the middle of the process and can't see what God sees. So God gives him some perspective via a vision. God says to write it down because it will be a while before it's fulfilled, and people need to remember God's truth in the meantime. He wants to bolster their faith in him as things get dark. He wants them to draw near to him. The righteous shall live by his faith. Remembering God and his promises will keep their souls afloat during Judah's destruction, when a wicked nation prevails over them. Then God pronounces 5 categories of woe on Babylon, warning them against putting their hope in wealth, security, power, pleasure, and control. Those who look to wealth as their ultimate hope will steal and cheat to get it. Those who look to security as their ultimate hope will oppress others to protect themselves. Those who look to power as the ultimate hope will enslave people, kill people, and work themselves to death. Those who look to pleasure as their ultimate hope will engage in drunkenness and debauchery, but will end up with shame instead. Those who look to control as their ultimate hope will try to grasp it anywhere they can, even through idols and false gods. Pursuing each of those things as ultimate leads to unique kinds of sin. God calls for them to turn from their false hopes, remember that he exists, and honor him. He sees their wickedness clearly, and he'll deal with them accordingly. Habakkuk asks God to show himself mighty. He knows what God is capable of. He's seen God's works in the past and wants to see those kind of mighty works again in the present. But he resolves to wait for God's timing. He commits to trust and not object to God's process. So what I wanted to point out in this scripture and just this book is how it mentions that they're both on the same page, but they have different ideas. So there's so many things that we can be waiting for right now that we don't understand why we're still waiting, why things aren't working out the way that we want them to. And it's because our perspective, which if you watch my last vlog, I talked about this too. Our perspective is only what we can see through our lens, only what we can understand on our level. But God's level is so much higher. He sees all, he knows all, and he already has a plan for everything. His timing is his timing for a reason. We always want to rush and get through things, but he has the timing planned out for us. So in the end, it's saying he's resolving to wait for God's timing. In the waiting, it's not just passive. You should not just be relaxing, waiting on God to do what you're waiting on him to do. That calls for you to be active. You should be active in waiting. You should be doing something. What is he trying to get me to learn? What is God trying to get me to see? What is he trying to mold throughout me in this waiting process? What are things, like maybe my vision is so off. Like, how can I work on seeing more clearly or drawing nearer to him to understand maybe what he's trying to do? You're not going to understand everything fully because that's not the point. We are not to know what God has planned. He's going to do what he's going to do when he's going to do it. But best believe that timing is going to be perfect timing. If it were up to us, we would ruin so many things. We would rush things and it wouldn't work out as well as it would. If you've ever waited on anything in your life, you can look back on that time and say, wow, this probably worked out better than if it would have went the way that I wanted it to go initially. And I can be a testament to that, because there's so many times I was waiting on things and I wanted to, like my previous job, I wanted to get out of that job so bad. I could not stand going in there every single day, and it was getting to the point where I was miserable. And I was just praying, waiting. Like, I know you're going to get me out. I know you're going to get me out. But if it were up to me, I would have quit up and left immediately. But, you know, you just can't do things like that. But I'm glad that I waited and I trusted God, because there was things I applied to that didn't work out. There was other things that, you know, I did get offers, but it just didn't feel right. And then at the perfect time, I got an offer to go to a different position. And that is where I am currently. And I'm thankful that all that happened, because it just felt right. Like, when you wait on God and you wait for him to move, he's moving things around. He's doing things behind the scenes that you have no idea. But when we try to rush and we try to do things in our own timing, we mess ourselves up. We make things so much harder than they need to be. You're gonna have to persist. You're gonna have to push. You're gonna have to endure, because what God has for you, I promise, is 10 times better. It's hard. I'm waiting for something right now, and I am struggling, okay? I'm struggling. So I'm talking to myself as well. I'm not perfect. I know the same thing. Everything that's coming out of my mouth, I'm saying to myself, because it gets hard waiting, because you allow your emotions and feelings to get the best of you sometimes. And honestly, last week, your girl was a mess. I was crying out to God, like, I am so tired. I am tired of being tired. I need something to happen. I need something to happen soon. And I'm like, please, tomorrow, like, but you know, you can't rush it. And I'm just trying to be like, I trust you. I know you come through every other time before, and you have to tap into those moments, because the devil tries. He tries to distract, discourage you, and do everything in his power to get you to try to rush and try to go ahead and try to plan for yourself and not wait on what God's doing. He tries to get you to take matters into your own hands. And when you do that, I promise, you'll be way worse. You'll be way worse trying to do it yourself instead of just waiting. In the Bible, these people had to wait long times, okay? Some of our waiting may be like a couple months, a couple years, maybe 1 year. These people in the Bible were waiting years on decades, like, for their thing. So just imagine, like, that's why reading your Bible and like seeing these people and how they waited, and they didn't wait very well. A lot of them didn't wait very well either, but we have those lessons to learn on what happened to them. A lot of sin was involved in them not waiting, and just things, they messed up things in their lives because they did not wait, and they decided to just jump the gun and try to get ahead of God. So my message today is just to wait. In my Bible commentary, it says, though God is the creator and judge of the universe, he takes the time to respond to his servant and let him in on what he's doing. And that's what he did. He gave him a vision, which sometimes, you know, you have to stick close to God and draw near to him and spend intimate time with him. building your relationship, for him to give you these visions and these things, so that sometimes he does give you a little glimpse of what can happen, but you just don't know when. So he commands Habakkuk to write down this vision so one may easily read it. History would be a witness to God's revelation. The Babylonians would surely invade at the appointed time. So although God did not tell him when, he did give him a little, vision so that he knew, and you write it down, because when it does happen, look what you have. You have the written thing down that this is what God said and this came to pass. And that's why I say, like, when you're prayer journaling and stuff, it's so important, because you get to go back to those things, and it is like amazing to see like God really did exactly what you wrote down. Some things might not be to a T, but it's just like I've written down so many things of what I was praying for, and me looking back on it today, I'm like, oh, God came through. God showed up, and he did his big one. Like, he really did that. And I'm so undeserving, because I was like a spoiled child waiting, like, when is this going to happen? When is this going to happen? But your Father is going to provide for you. He's going to show up for you. He hears you, he sees you, and he loves you, most importantly. And that's what we have to understand in the waiting. You're not alone in the waiting. He's not letting you wait to torture you. It's for your own good. He works everything out in our lives for our good. And we just have to stay rooted in that. And in order to keep the good mindset, you have to stay in your word, because there's so many distractions and what things and opinions and things that other people may say, and then the enemy trying to get you. There's so many outside voices that we have to focus in and just have tunnel vision on God, especially in these waiting seasons, because they can beat you up and it is rough sometimes. But we have to tap into where our strength comes from, and that is God. So I encourage everyone, if you're in a waiting season, to continue waiting, continue building your endurance. He's building you, he's growing you, he's molding you, and he's gonna birth something so beautiful. Just wait on him. Don't jump the gun. Don't try to overstep and take matters into your own hands. Wait on him. Read your word. Pray. Write it down. Write it down. Whatever you're praying for, write it down. Date it when you write it down. And then when he does come around to answering or doing whatever it is, go back to that and just have a heart of gratitude. Like, thank him for what he's already done. Thank him for what he's doing now. And thank him for what he's going to do in the future. Because we're alive, we're breathing. He's not done with us yet. So I hope that this could be an encouragement to someone. It was encouraging to me. Look, I'm talking to myself, all right? But I have been struggling, I'm not gonna lie, you guys, and God just wanted me to read that today, and I'm glad that I stumbled upon it. And I hope that this could help one person and encourage one person to persist with purpose, continue waiting. God is not finished with you. Your story is not done yet. There's so much beautiful things ahead and in store in your life, and we just have to trust him and hold on to our hope and our faith. Our faith is, believing and trusting in him when we cannot see, and in the waiting seasons we can't see what's gonna happen next. We can't see what's coming, and that's where our faith shows. So thank you guys for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye. It's the day that the Lord has